The Justice Department is telling us that Attorney General Bill Barr has now received the report from Special Counsel Robert Mueller. The investigation, 675 days old, is now over. So obviously this is a big moment for this White House. This is an investigation that has hung over the presidency of Donald Trump since the beginning, obviously. And so now the question is, what is in that report? We expect that Bill Barr is going to be reviewing what Bob Mueller found in his investigation, and then we'll tell Congress exactly what he can tell them. We expect that this is essentially going to be a Bill Barr report. It's something that's going to be much less than what Robert Mueller provided in his investigation. Let's step back a little bit and talk about this investigation. This has been, by all accounts, one of the most fruitful investigations. If you compare it to just an average Justice Department investigation, let's go through that. 37 defendants, including 6 Trump associates who've been charged with crimes as a result of this investigation. We have 5 people who have been sentenced to prison so far, and 16 Trump associates at least have been shown to have contacts with Russians as a result during the campaign or during the transition. Again, this is what Robert Mueller was tasked with investigating as a result of the interference in the 2016 election. What obviously now we have to turn the page to is the fact that this is not a normal investigation. The big question has been whether or not there was an actual any evidence of collusion between people associated with the Trump campaign and Russians, whether the president was aware of any of that, whether there was any conspiracy to throw essentially the 2016 election. So far, Robert Mueller has not charged that in any of the cases that have been made public. So the question is there something related to collusion in the report that Robert Mueller has now turned in to Bill Barr, the Attorney General? Is there any proof or evidence of obstruction of justice, any proof of crimes that he was not able to bring charges on? That's the big question. And of course, Bill Barr is now going to review this report, Wolf, before he reports to Congress on exactly what Robert Mueller found.
I just want to be precise, Evan. Has the Justice Department issued a formal statement saying the Mueller investigation, nearly 2 years, has now been completed and his report has been handed over to the new Attorney General, Bill Barr? And have they just done that with what we call a paper statement? Are we anticipating a statement on camera from any of the principals, whether the Attorney General or the special counsel, for example?
We do not expect that Bill Barr, the Attorney General, is going to make any formal statement right now, Wolf. We were just told this information, or Laura Jarrett, who is sitting at the Justice Department, was just told this by Justice Department officials, that this investigation is now complete. The report from Robert Mueller has been received by the Attorney General. And so, look, again, this is an important moment for the Trump presidency. This is something that they've been anticipating, the day that they could finally say that the investigation has been completed. They can now move on to what is essentially going to be what they believe is going to be a political process. This is going to be a fight over what are the contents of Robert Mueller's report, whether members of Congress are going to be able to see everything that Mueller found in his, as you said, nearly 2-year investigation. Again, that's going to be something that's going to be a political, perhaps even a legal fight, whether or not they're going to be able to see that. But for the moment, Bill Barr is going to review this report, and then he's going to decide how much of it he can make public, how much of this he can turn over to members of Congress to review. Again, that's something that we're going to be waiting in the coming days to see exactly what that is.
I want you to stand by, Evan. Shimon Prokopez is here as well. He's been working the story. What are you hearing?
Here's the headline here, right? This is now over, obviously, as Evan is saying to us. There will be no more speculation. Is Robert Mueller going to bring any indictments, any more indictments? It's over. There will be no more indictments from Robert Mueller, so many folks can stop speculating as to that. Whether or not parts of this investigation, obviously, that are still ongoing, we know that the Department of Justice still has investigations that they're pursuing, people that they still want to question. There are open grand jury investigations that are still ongoing related to this investigation. But for the purposes of everything that has to do with Robert Mueller, this is now over. He is finished. Just a couple of things. We saw his team, our team that's outside the special counsel's office, saw people leaving the office early today. We did not see Robert Mueller going in, though we believe he was at work today. But really the big news here, obviously, is that this is now over. Now it's about what will we see? What will be the next steps in all of this? What does Bill Barr, the Attorney General, ultimately release to the public? What does he ultimately release to members of Congress? And the fight will ensue. We just don't have any information about this report. How many pages? What's in it? Those details, I'm sure, will come at some point. But the big news, obviously, this is over. Robert Mueller, all his work, his team's work, now they're done. They're moving on, and we will see what the Department of Justice does and what the next steps will be in this investigation.
And we just have received the Attorney General's letter to the leadership in the House and the Senate. And let me read from this letter for our viewers. So this is William P. Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, and he directs this letter to the respective chairmen of these various committees. I write to notify you pursuant to 28 CFR that Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller III has concluded his investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 election and related matters. In addition to this notification, the Special Counsel regulations require that I provide you with a description and explanation of instances, if any, in which the Attorney General or Acting Attorney General concluded that a proposed action by a Special Counsel was so inappropriate or unwarranted under established departmental practices that it should not be pursued. There was no such instances during the Special Counsel's investigation. The Special Counsel has submitted to me a confidential report explaining the prosecution or declination decisions he has reached as required by 28 CFR. I am reviewing the report and anticipate that I may be in a position to advise you of the Special Counsel's principal conclusions as soon as this weekend. Separately, I intend to consult with Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein and Special Counsel Mueller to determine what other information from the report can be released to Congress and the public, consistent with the law, including the Special Counsel regulations and the Department's longstanding practices and policies. I remain committed to as much transparency as possible, and I will keep you informed as to the status of my review. Finally, the Special Counsel regulations provide that the Attorney General may determine that public release of this notification would be in the public interest. I have so determined, and I will disclose this letter to the public after delivering it to you. Pamela, you've been covering this from the very beginning. A pretty specific letter he has sent to the various chairmen, Lindsey Graham, Dianne Feinstein, Jerry Nadler, and Doug Collins.
That's right. And there's a lot of news in this letter. First of all, our big question was, were there any requests that Robert Mueller made to the Department of Justice that were denied? And in this letter from the Attorney General, he is saying that there were no such instances during the Special Counsel investigation. The reporters covering this had wondered, was there ever a point where Robert Mueller wanted to subpoena to sit down with the president? Because as we know, he never had that sit-down interview with President Trump. And according to this letter, that did not happen, apparently. So that is big news. Also, the fact that he is saying that he will brief the committees on the principal conclusions by Robert Mueller is significant, because that was unclear as well. What kind of information would he actually provide the committees? He had wide discretion under the Special Counsel regulations to determine what he wanted to share. And now he is saying, as soon as this weekend, Wolf, the committees could learn about the principal conclusions of this investigation. Of course, our question is, will it answer the principal question of this investigation? The collusion, was there collusion of any type between the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign and obstruction of justice? Now, the president and his team have called this investigation a witch hunt, but you will likely see them say, look, there were no charges related to collusion, no charges related to obstruction of justice. But my question is, was there any conduct that for whatever reason was unindictable, but that could be concerning and of interest to Congress? So there are a lot of unanswered questions here, but news coming from this letter.
You know, it also says, Wolf, that he may be in a position to advise you of the Special Counsel's principal conclusions as soon as this weekend.
Which is right.
Yeah.
A very quick turnaround. And I think is recognition that this Attorney General understands that the faster you can make this information public. I mean, we're getting word that they let the White House know they had the report at 4:35 p.m. So it wasn't long after that they put this letter out to the public. Bill Barr understands the intense public interest in this and the intense interest from Congress. And he knows that if he wants to do anything else during his tenure, the best thing he can do is handle this as fast as possible.
And it's interesting how they're saying the report is comprehensive. I think this is important to note. we did not expect the Department of Justice to move so quickly, certainly in terms of revealing some of their findings, that they're saying we may be able to do this weekend. That is much faster, I think, as Pam was pointing out, than we had anticipated. It also, they recognize how serious this is and how the public, maybe they're going to release more than we think in the end here, because they understand that the public needs the public interest.